Good evening and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Community and Social Wellbeing Committee. Great to see you all. I had the agenda up and it's vanished. Not a good start. Sorry, everyone. Can you remind me while I find it, Steve? What is next first on the agenda?
Apologies.
Apologies.
Have we had any?
We haven't. No, Linda was hoping to attend. I think she had a church thing for the last few weeks, but she said she was back attending meetings on Tuesdays now. So.
Okay, so hopefully
she'll turn
maybe,
up. Yeah.
Maybe she'll join us a little late. I'm guessing it's minutes of the last meeting next.
Declarations of interest.
Oh, sorry, declarations of interest. Are there any?
I think so.
No.
Okay, good stuff. Right, I have now got it open. So minutes of the meeting held on 21st of April. Have we had a chance to have a look at those?
Yeah.
Are we happy?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Right then, so on to our first substantive point, which is update on the skate park. Pam, do you want to take this one?
We've no update at all. We're still waiting for other information to come through. Nothing's changed the last few weeks. We're just in limbo waiting. We've lost our spring slot with Maverick. We could have had it built by the summer. That's gone. I have no idea when we'll be able to pick it up. That's about it.
Okay. Yeah, so just to clarify, it's the matter is with City and County of Swansea at the moment, and they are keeping us posted as and when there are developments, and we await their news. Jason.
Wait, do we have any idea of timescales around that?
Steve, you don't know any more than we do, do you? You haven't got any timescales from City and County side?
No, unfortunately. I can't tell you anything other than that. Yeah,
okay.
Is it possible to find out potential timescales at all?
Well, I think we were told originally it'd be 2 weeks before that happened and 2 weeks before this happened, but that's gone and we haven't had any news since. So perhaps the clerk could sort of have a little chat and see if he could find out some things for us. But they showed us, they showed us as soon as anything happened, they would let the clerk know straight away. If they haven't let him know anything, then nothing's happening.
Plus we need to chase them up.
I think it would be fair to say the matter is in hand and we will probably have more information in time for the next meeting. And if there's, I mean, at the moment, there's nothing for Mumbles Community Council to do. You know, we're a third party in this matter. So I think, yeah, it is being pursued appropriately by City and County.
Yeah, we can't even speculate on next steps until we know what's going to happen. So it's a bit, unfortunately, it's very frustrating, but it's a bit futile discussing it, you know, until we know what the next steps are.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm afraid we're not really able to talk any further about the skate park this evening. Oh, Sarah?
Could I say something? Could we just at least send a letter to the City and County of Swansea showing our support and any help that we can give them in this to show that we've got their back?
Unless that gets through to council, I wouldn't be sending anything along those lines. So you'd have to put it as a recommendation if you wanted to.
Yeah, I think because it's now a legal issue, we haven't at this point needed to seek any legal advice on the situation, but you know, because we're just a third party, I think they know where we are. You know, they will pick up the phone, I think, if we can help or provide any further information. So I think I'm going to move on because yeah, there's not a lot more we can do on that issue at the moment. So update on Underhill, if I could ask Martin.
Okay, I'm disappointed to report, or I'm very sad to report that unfortunately we've hit a bit of an impasse in relation to particularly the signing of the lease agreement with Mumbles Community Association. The position that we are in at the moment, I suppose it echoes a little bit what we were talking about earlier in relation to the skateboard park, in as much as it's our legal people talking to their legal people. the way that it is at the moment is our legal people are advising us that what is being offered to us is, well, that really we shouldn't be signing it, basically, to cut to the chase there. So we have reached an impasse at the moment. We're in discussions with still in discussions with our legal people, and obviously in contact with City and County of Swansea as well, because I think all that we need to do at this moment in time is try to find a way out of this impasse and to negotiate a way out of this impasse. And the best way to do that is by keeping the channels of communication open between between the tripartite people involved, i.e. ourselves, City and County of Swansea, and Mumbles Community Association. As I said, unfortunately, I think that's all that I can report at this particular moment in time.
Do you mind if I add to that, Martin?
No.
So I've just been pondering really how we can get out of this impasse. I just want to reassure, councillors that, at the moment we're not in a position to hand over any of that grant funding that we've committed to the project, because we need to sign this legal agreement first, because we have to have absolutely in black and white what the expectation is from all the partners. I do think that it would be worth potentially this committee adding its voice.
And then one more thing to do, go to gallery, see there, the little squares.
Yes.
If you click on that, then you can see everybody.
You should also be able to find a mute button.
They can't see you and they can't hear you.
We can
hear you, Janet.
Yeah, mute button, please.
Or Steve can do it for you. There we go. That's great. So I do wonder whether it's worth this committee adding its voice to, the call for a bit of a move on the current situation, because we've had legal advice telling us, what the bare minimum needs to be in that lease agreement for the interests of Mumbles Community Council, and therefore the members of the public to be safeguarded. And basically that position is immovable. We can't go against legal advice. So I was wondering whether it would be worth, as a reminder more than anything, that the joint working group reports to committee, which reports to full council, a letter coming from this committee to Mumbles Community Association, sort of urging some sort of resolution of the issue, or for them to reconsider their position. I don't know what other people think of that.
Well, I think that, yes, really, but all I would just sort of say is Steve has already sent a letter to that effect, really saying that to Mumbles Community Association that fundamentally we cannot go against legal advice, and also we cannot recommend to full council to support something when it is going against legal advice. And also, let's be honest here, if it did go to full council and we had to report to full council that this is going against legal advice, no councillor is going to support it. So, that's the position that we're in. But yes, if we could reinforce that by maybe some sort of official communication coming from this particular committee, just reinforcing that position, because I think, we need to reinforce that is our red line in the sand, really, because, we cannot go against legal advice.
No. Sarah?
Yeah, Martin, what exactly is holding it up? What particular thing is there anything we can? I take it's an absolute.
It's really quite, and to be honest, I wouldn't really want to get into the ins and outs of it here in a public forum.
Okay,
but it is quite it's quite complex, but at the same time it's quite simple as well, in as much as us representing our interests in going forward. And the bottom line is, with this, we are putting quite a substantial investment into this proposal, and we need to protect our interests. It goes back to you know, what we had some time ago when it came to the back-to-back lease agreement. And it's just finalising those. But as I sort of said, you know, I've got a document in front of me, open on the other computer, from the solicitor, which outlines a number of the points. And as I said, I don't really want to go through every one. But basically, it is that. It's that we've got to protect our interests, particularly as we put in quite, well, you know, very significant.
There's a lot of taxpayers' money going in.
This is it, a lot of, you know, local residents' money going into this. And, you know, we need to be in a position to protect that. And that is exactly why we've got legal advice and why we cannot go against that legal advice.
Right, thank you.
Will?
Thank you, Chair. I think that conversation was pretty appropriate because it, you know, it proves that the committee members aren't really up to speed on the detail, which is maybe for Steve or Martin or yourself or anyone to maybe email all the committee members the issues that we have, because you know, I think the wider council should know what the impasses are. But because of that, I don't think there's any point in us writing a letter from this committee, because this committee obviously doesn't have the information it needs to say, come on, move along, or we need this, we need that, when they haven't got the information they need to make that decision. So I think what we could do is certainly circulate the information to all the members of this committee, or maybe the wider council as well. But I don't think a letter is appropriate because they haven't got the information to make the decision. Even though it's only there's only one real answer.
Well, what we could do is, along with the information, also circulate a sort of draft letter from this committee, and ask people to make a decision on that letter on the basis of the information that will be circulated with it. Yeah, okay, I'm seeing thumbs and nods. Okay, we will do that, and hopefully next month we will be reporting further progress. Because it's getting quite frustrating now for those of us that are on the joint working group. We would hope to see more progress by now. Great. So the next item on the agenda is Langland Bay Tennis Courts. We've split this into courts 1 and 2, and then 3 because 1 and 2 are already refurbished. Courts 1 and 2 was an opportunity for us to just get a bit of an update following the vote in full council to implement the gate system. I don't know whether you'd heard back from Tennis Wales, Steve.
No, I've told them of the good news, and I've said, can they tell us what the next steps are? So I think we're hoping to meet with them shortly to discuss that. So yeah, as soon as I get back, I'll let you know.
That's great. Okay. And then on court 3, so the next step following the vote in full council was to ask Swansea Council for. Oh, sorry. Well, I didn't see you there.
Yes, all right. Just a question on the first point there. We're obviously talking about the gate system for courts 1 and 2. However, we obviously have court 3 in our lease as well. I was under the impression that we were adding the gate system to court 3 as well.
Yeah, sorry, that's not clear by the way they're divided. I think when we had the Q&A back from Tennis Wales, what they suggested was put in the gate, I think in the sort of gully between the 2 bits, so that it's because they recommended 1 gate for the whole complex, if you like, and then you get unique pins depending on what you've booked.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, but it's not as quite straightforward as that, because obviously it's public right of way and you'd be sealing up a public right of way. So, and also that's not DDA compliant, that ramp. And I know that ramp access, I think Steve, as Roger Mackay sent you a quote for to improve that, the ramp access on that.
Yeah. We thought that was included in the quote for the wall. I know
should be.
Our surveyor thinks that.
Yeah, no,
our surveyor thinks that and has confirmed that to Roger. I've not seen a response.
Right, because basically, Rebecca, it's not quite that straightforward, because obviously we've got to ask Swansea Council first if they're happy for us to shut it off as an access, because the back path is quite long then without any sort of way down. But yeah, I don't think it's. I think it's a good idea, but it just needs to. It's just a bit more thought. And secondly, that ramp, Steve needs to just make sure that when they're doing the wall, that they make that ramp disabled, access friendly, DDA compliant, so that anyone can access the courts. Yeah.
Yeah,
there's a couple of
absolutely.
things.
So can we leave that as an action for you on the ramp issue specifically, Steve?
Well, it's already, sorry, Chair, it's already in the hands of our surveyor who's pushing that. So it's happening.
And the access as well as the other thing.
Okay.
Cutting off that gap in the middle, yeah.
Yeah, so the gap in the middle, I was going to say, is probably one of the things that will come up in the, when we speak to Tennis Wales about what their suggested approaches and, all of the issues that fall out of that. Pam?
Are you saying there'll be one access point only for courts 1, 2 and 3? Because people are already complaining that they want a separate access for court 1 and they don't see why they should have to go through court 2 to get to court 1. They're really quite cross about that. So it's just going to be one gate, courts 1, 2 and 3?
That is what Tennis Wales suggested in their Q&A, because we're unlikely to get funding for more than one gate where you've got the booking system attached to it. Now, it's obviously something that we can talk to them in a bit more detail about when they come back to us. But if we did go down the route that they've suggested, if that's possible with what Swansea Council will allow us to do, etc., then you wouldn't have to walk through, courts 2 and 3 would be, you wouldn't have to walk through any of the courts to get to them. I take the point about court 1, and I know people have found it a little frustrating. But probably one to bring up with Tennis Wales when they come back to us.
I didn't know that the answers had come back. Have I missed an email somewhere?
They were circulated with the papers to full council, I think. Am I right, Steve?
I missed that then.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'll try and find it.
Okay. So am I okay to move on to point 7 on the agenda? Okay, so the next step following the vote at full council on the basketball and netball and tennis lines going on court 3 was to make sure that Swansea Council were happy to give us their permission to do that. I don't know whether they've come back to you, Steve.
They haven't so far, I'm afraid, no.
Okay, but the request has gone in.
It has indeed, yeah.
Okay, well, not much we can do until we've got that, so we'll park that one as well. Right, so then I think the next couple might take a little bit longer of our time. So Mumbles Gardens, so this was about the consultation where the work has already started to develop the project plan for that. I'm just going to sort of highlight that the next point is about the seawall development, and we might ultimately decide that we want to use this opportunity to find out a bit more about what people think should be part of the whole seawall development. But we'll make a start anyway with the tennis courts and bowls pavilion. Hopefully you've all had a chance to see that Alain has circulated a draft project plan for the consultation. Has that gone to the whole of this committee, Steve?
I'm not sure whether, probably just the people in the subgroup.
I haven't seen it.
Right, okay.
No.
So the next steps really for that project plan are to get some owners against the actions, and then for those people to do those actions. The timescales that Alain has suggested are pretty prompt. In fact, some of them have gone, and what we've done so far is agreed the budget, some additional budget to help with promoting the consultation. As this is within the remit of the smaller sort of subgroup, is it worth the action being for that group to get together pretty sharpish to agree those owners and get the action started?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of your fellow members of the subgroup chased me up earlier this week, and I've been in touch with Alan to see when he's next available, and he said he was going to be sending out a doodle thing to check people's availability, so that should be happening very shortly now.
Okay, so Alain will facilitate that, the next steps bit.
Yeah, I think he thought it was useful if he did that.
Okay.
It's a learning thing, as you know, for us. It's not. So I think if he sees us through this process, we should be able to do it ourselves next time. You know.
Okay, Pam, did you want to come in there?
Is that for the seawall defences following up the talk we had from Swansea City Council, or is that from which one is Alan concentrating on at the moment?
Well, no mission creep, so it's just on the tennis courts consultation at the moment.
Okay, thank you.
So just on Mumbles tennis courts and the Bowls Pavilion. So that probably brings us quite nicely on to point 9 and the seawall development. I think we had hoped that for those of us that couldn't be at the presentation, that there was going to be a recorded version made available by City and County, but I don't think that's come around yet, has it, Steve?
It literally came out today, so I can circulate that to everyone.
Okay, great. For those who were at the presentation, there probably are things you want to feedback. I'll come to Will first. Has he got your hand up?
Yeah, thanks. It was based on the last agenda point. Actually, I think wasn't there an action point from that group about a gym or something to discuss at this committee?
There was, yes, you're right. So let me just have a quick look at the draft. So I think the action point was for this committee to discuss what would be included in the questions in the survey. For example, are we going to ask about, here we are, agree whether to ask open or closed questions, and if the latter, if a closed question survey, are we going to include a gym as an option? Happy to discuss that now if people want to. Does anybody have strong thoughts? So, Will, I assume you do, as you brought it up.
Well, I always have strong thoughts on everything, unfortunately. Personally, I think we should itemize, or itemize is the wrong word, sorry, list a number of facilities, and people can score them, 1 most important, 2, 3, 4, 5, that sort of thing, and that way you get the more points to what you get to mention several sort of sports things, but then the community's the compromise is there, I suppose. Does that make sense? Am I explaining that well?
Yeah. Would there also be an option to put in sort of other to welcome fresh ideas as well?
Good idea. Yeah,
okay,
idea.
Pam first, and then Sarah. You're on mute, Pam. Pam, you're on mute. We can't hear you.
I've got questions about putting a gym in, because gym is going to take up an awful lot of floor space, and we wanted to keep that as open courts, open for basketball, tennis or whatever. I thought Underhill in the long term had a plan to put the gym up there, and that's where it was going to go. I'm just afraid if we say we're going to have a gym down there, then we're going to lose a court for open air space, and open air sport just is what we really want. And if it takes a bit longer, we get a gym up in Underhill, and fine. But if everybody says, oh yeah, because there's no gym in Mumbles at all, everybody really umps for saying we want a gym, and then we say, well, sorry, we can't give you one because we want to keep it for open space. So I think we've got to think about that, and just the expectations that you raise by saying a gym, and then we say, well, we want it as open space for open sports for lots of different people. So we need to think about that one.
So I'll come to you in a second, Sarah. I would just say, in terms of consultation, we need to be careful about not going into it with preconceived ideas about what we think the answers will be. So that's in both directions. We shouldn't be necessarily assuming that everyone will say they want a gym, but also we shouldn't necessarily be saying that the answer is open space, if ultimately that isn't what the consultation response is, to tell us. Sarah?
Yeah, I thought the idea was that there was going to be this enormous gym on top of the Underhill complex, and I thought that was a really good place to put it. No?
I'll just ask, Martin, you're clapping at me, but I assume that's you're putting your hand up.
You're on mute.
Couple of points there in relation to the point that Rebecca makes there. It is possible to do, how can I say, a sort of open consultation and then drill down with what Will is sort of saying, so that, if a gym comes up, then you can prioritize that and then see if that is what people want. And when it comes to the gym, the proposal for a gym up in Underhill, as the proposal stands at the moment, it's not there, so it's a bit hypothetical at the moment. So all I'm sort of saying, we can't sort of say, well, you know, we won't consult on a gym there because there is a gym going up in Underhill, because we don't know that's going to happen anyway.
Okay.
But you know, all I'm sort of saying, this is something we could bring up with Arlene and discuss how we could incorporate it into the consultation.
Can I just ask a question quickly of Martin? Is it still in the designs then, Martin, the gym?
No, not to my knowledge. Will.
Oh, right.
Yeah, they have got planning permission for a large pavilion, which was the first, the initial concept off the car park. So there is still planning for a building that could be a gym.
Could be.
However, there's absolutely no funding or
plans.
It's not been up in conversation. But basically, it was like 4.5 million in the original plan, so it got shelved straight away, which is why we're on this one. So
I thought there was private interest. No. No private interest.
Not to my knowledge.
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay, thank you.
I think I'm sorry, could someone explain, if we build a gym, who gets all the profits from it? How is it run? If it costs us $500,000 to put a gym in, what we get, put the money in, what do we get back?
Yeah,
so I just want to bring us back just for a minute, because my question to Alain would be, so I like the idea of having lots of different options, including other, and asking people to score them. My question to Alain would be, to what extent should we limit that list to only things that are within our gift to deliver? Because I'm a bit unsure about how we would run. I mean, are we really talking about setting up our own gym, Will?
I mean, this isn't, just to clarify, this isn't a proposal for myself at all. So all I'm saying is that absolutely not. Mumbles Community Council would definitely not build a gym. You know, it's just, if people are asking for that, then we should at least put it on the survey. It seems that a lot of people are asking for different things, and we should facilitate as many things in the survey as possible, I suppose. But no, Mumbles Community Council certainly, in my opinion, would never build a gym.
Okay.
So, you know, it's not our land. Bear in mind, it's not our land though, so we couldn't build anything without anyone's.
It's about managing expectations and being realistic about what we can actually offer after this consultation has come back in. We shouldn't be offering things that we can't deliver.
But again, it's Swansea Council's gift, not ours.
Yeah, Martin?
Well, I just sort of think this is maybe a conversation that we need to have with Alain. And, you know, I do think Pam's point is spot on, to be honest. You know, we don't want to be saying to people, well, you know, do you want the gym, or do you want a big open, you know, infinity pool based? Just, you know, yeah, I would love it myself, like, but it's just not, it's not practical. It's not in our gift, like, you know. But, you know, I do sort of think this is a conversation that, you know, particularly the working group that's working with Alain could have with Alain, and discuss, you know, how maybe we could explore something like that. But at the same time, you know, again, echoing what Will says, it's not really the game that we should be getting into as a community council, running a gym. But then again, if people express that they want to have a gym, we can't just turn around and sort of say, well, you know, that's not on the cards at all.
So
but,
I think what we're saying is that as a committee, we're open to having a wide and varied list of options, but we want advice from Alain about how we would manage expectations on any of the items in that list, which is, to be honest, a concern I've had from the very beginning of this whole process to put together a consultation, because, as Will points out, not our land. So, you know, we need to be, and there's already been some misunderstanding about why we're interested in what people think. You know, there's already rumours out there that we're, you know, wanting people to tell us that they want to build on it, which is obviously not the case. If anything, we're looking to strengthen our arm for the opposite argument. But there we are. Sarah, did you want to come in there? I saw a hand and it went down. You are on mute.
Yeah, that was my concern, was if we said a gym there, we'd basically be opening the floodgates. So, well, if you want a gym, then we could put something else there instead that's a building. Surely the fight will be to keep it open, whatever, tennis court or whatever, but just try and keep it just there and open and not built on. That's the main thing I would have said, which is why I thought the Underhill one was a better idea. Okay.
Okay, right, so we should be hearing from Alain, or sorry, the subgroup should be hearing from Alain imminently to move this forward. We can't hear you, Pam. I think you're trying to speak.
Is Sarah, you going back on the subgroup, or am I on it?
I don't know who's invited anymore.
Okay. Okay, I don't
I'd
know.
like to be on it, but I know you, yeah.
Go for it. And Carrie and I were attend as just attendees.
Yeah, I attended as an observer last time, which was quite useful.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so moving on to point 9 then, which is the wider seawall development. So those who were at the presentation that we will be hearing shortly, is there anything that you want to feed back urgently? Pam? And then Will. And you're still on mute.
It's a pre-consultation consultation, and it was absolutely marvelous. The ideas that they're coming up with are just super duper. But they want to know what people want before they put the big consultation together, so they know that they're going in the right direction. The point that was put across to us was the urgency in getting this consultation done, because they have quite a tight timetable, because they have a build timetable that they've got to get to. They've got to start building by a certain date. I haven't got my book in front of me, I haven't got the date. So they need these consultations done by that date. And so we need to crack on with it. They were hoping to get a Mumbles Community Council recommendation to what we want there, which we vote on as a council, as well as putting it out to the public. So again, we need to get Alan together to see what we're going to do about this, but they were hoping to have a recommendation from Mumbles Community Council as a council, the things that we would want to go down there. So they've got a tight time, but we need to crack on with this, and I don't know what the next step is.
Okay, I'll bring in Will and then Sarah.
Hi, thanks. Yeah, I think obviously, as Pam said there, we want to submit a sort of coordinated response. As we can all submit our own as councillors as well, but certainly one coordinated response from the whole council. And what I think is probably best way to do that, rather than using consultants and paying for yet more things, is if Steve sends out an email saying, what do people want, then everyone emails him in their points. And then if Steve could draft a response, send it to everyone. And if obviously, and if the majority of people are happy with that on an email, then we can submit that. That'd be the easiest way to do it, and the quickest and the realistic way, because otherwise it'll just drag on and we probably miss the date realistically. So that's just my idea.
The problem will be if not everybody's watched the video, then they won't have the full range of opportunities that we could be putting for.
We'll make sure that they have the video. I said Sarah and then Martin.
Yeah, I today filled in a thing on the seawall that they were asking questionnaires about. So it's out there already asking the general public. So if we do want one of our own, we had better crack on. That's more, in ways, more important than doing the Mumbles tennis court one. Just get that sorted, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, Martin, you're on mute. I should have a little recording of myself. You're on mute. You're on mute.
You should come up in bold letters.
I'm not on mute now. Yeah, I could be wrong on this, but I think the initial feedback of the consultation is something like the 9th, is it? The 9th?
I think it's
June?
the 7th.
7th, something like that. I think it was a one, not into double figures. So the 7th, and I think so. We haven't got enough time to do a big consultation. So echoing what Will has sort of said there, we are community members ourselves, so sending something to Steve to collate something, that's what we're elected for, is to sort of represent the views of the community as well. So I think that would be one way, but that is the initial feedback. But as I sort of said, I do sort of think the main thing will be going forward that we keep in contact with the developments that are going on and ensure that we as a community council feed into that. And I think the consultation that we will be doing in relation to the tennis courts at Mumbles and the Bowling Green could be part of that as well. I really don't think there's a need to do another consultation again, as it were.
Okay. Will?
Thanks. Sorry to put my hand up again. Yeah, just another way of pushing it forward. I mean, I know this isn't full council, but I'd suggest just if the chair and vice chair pick it up as, you know, representatives of the council, and just make sure that everyone else has had the chance to feed in and draft something and then circulate it. I mean, I'd be happy with that as a sort of a way to, you know, respond quick. So it's just an idea, but if you and Martin are happy to pick it up, liaise with Steve, get a coordinated response off everyone's input, then circulate it, and then, you know, then send it off. I think that's probably the best way to do it.
Good point.
Okay, well, how about if myself and Martin and Steve try and put our heads together before the end of this week on perhaps a sort of something that we could send out to all councillors saying this is the sort of structure of what we're thinking would be our response. You know, please, because also I think starting from a blank sheet of paper can be quite difficult sometimes. If we can provide something to councillors that gives them a sort of starter for 10 to invite points. And then we should, you know, even if we gave people, yeah, it's going to have to be a week really, isn't it, to respond, and then a week for us to collate, get everyone's agreement so that we can send by the deadline.
Yep.
Does that sound like a sensible approach? I'm seeing thumbs, I'm seeing nods. Okay, so action for you, Steve, there. If you can find a time where the three of us are free, that would be great. Perhaps we could even stay after this meeting and just compare diaries. Is that okay?
Yeah.
You asking me?
Yeah.
Unless it's approved by full council, I won't be sending anything on behalf of the council.
No, Rebecca's just on about you finding time in your diary.
No, I think he is raising. You are raising a point about the whole process, aren't you, Steve?
I am, yeah.
But there's a full council meeting before it.
There's no way I'm going to send anything in on behalf of the council without a resolution of council.
There's a full council meeting before it, though, yeah?
I'm not sure there is, not before the deadline.
I don't think there is.
Are you sure?
If the deadline is the 7th of June, there definitely isn't, no.
No, it's the 8th, isn't it? Full council is 8th or 9th.
Yeah.
If there's a special meeting on Underhill, maybe we tag it onto that then.
I was just about to suggest that.
Great minds.
Okay, I take the point, Steve, that if we do go down this route, it needs a proper meeting of full council.
Yeah.
I think we can have a special meeting of full council to agree the resolution.
Okay.
Well, thanks. I hope the chair will agree with me when I say that.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Pam.
You have to set dates and deadlines so the councillors know that they've got to get it in by a certain date. So you have time to collate everything that's come in yourself. So you're not giving yourself the onerous task of trying to get everything ready overnight. You've got to give yourself put this together. So you need a timetable of when it's going out to councillors, when they have to watch the video. Give yourself some space just to make sure you get it on time.
Yeah, will do.
Yeah.
Okay, right then. I'll move us on to point 10, which is a grant request from Mumbles Development Trust towards a railway trail. Have people had a chance to see the full application in OneDrive? Stunned silence.
No.
I think I can give you a bit of a summary. Although I don't have it in front of me today. basically this is a heritage project to mark, I suppose, the Mumbles Railway, and I think they're thinking of having kind of stops along the front, as it were, you know, where the railway was, that you can walk or cycle through to learn more about the railway as it was when it was in operation. And I think, if I remember rightly, that the total amount of the project was 6,000 and they want 1,000 from us.
Right.
Oh, Steve, I can't hear you.
Yeah, sorry, Chair. Do you want me to share the app on the screen? Would that be helpful?
Oh, that would be, yes,
Yeah,
very
I can
convenient.
find it.
Can you see that okay?
Yeah.
There we go. Oh, my memory's not bad, is it?
Yeah. Hang on a minute. Can I
Go on,
come in?
Martin.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I had a quick look at this before, and I've seen similar things in other places. I think, yeah, you know, good idea. The only thing, I don't know whether I missed it, is, which I was a little, how can I say, not concerned about, just wanted to know, was how are they going to direct people along it, as it were? Because, you know, the Mumbles Railway, well, I suppose they're only going to be doing the Mumbles bit of it. I'm so old I can even remember it. Is, you know, how they're going to direct people along it. That's not the only thing I thought. But as I sort of said, it was just a query. Did I miss it?
I mean signage.
Well, the signage, I think, is in there, isn't it? But, like, you know, how are you going to have a trail, you know, that you start off at one place? Because, you know, they've got something similar on Bute Street in Cardiff, for instance, where, you know, you start off at the top end of Bute Street and it takes you on a trail right down to the bay. So I was just wondering along those lines, really. And as I sort of said, that's something I didn't get out of the application, but I was just wondering whether I'd missed it, really. You know, is it just going to be individual signs along Mumbles front? Or is there going to be some sort of trail, really?
So a walking trail along the original route, erecting replica station signs and other railway memorabilia in situ, with trail guides in QR codes, leaflets, information boards, and guided
QR
walks.
codes, then, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
QR codes.
The only thing reading this on the screen that I was concerned about is that this is effectively funding to establish fundraising. So it says there, the immediate purpose of this grant is for professional administrative research support in preparation of a Space Hive pitch. So the Space Hive is a crowdfunding system, and they would be going to them for the amount for the actual implementation of the project. So this is a bit speculative at this point, I would suggest.
So does that mean that without this cash, they won't be able to start the project at all?
But I suppose the concern I would have with that is, even if they get this cash, there's no guarantee that they will get the other cash.
No, exactly. Sarah?
Yeah, but haven't we done that in the past with Underhill, where they've said they're going to get money and we've said, oh, okay then, and then we've given them money.
Seed money.
Yeah,
Just
I thought it was something we did.
Certainly we've done it in the past with Underhill on smaller projects, not this big one, but certainly we've done that in the past and had the same discussion. Had the same discussion.
We did it the other way around. We did it the other way around with Underhill, just to remind you that we got the grant first.
I'm sorry, well, before your time and other projects that we've funded for Underhill, they've wanted seed money to get them going, and we've done that in the past.
Yeah,
not this big project now, for previous projects. Yeah, you're right, Sarah.
Right. Just a thought. I've got no strong feelings either way. I just thought I'd point that out.
So just to clarify then, with those previous examples from years ago, when you say they said they were going to get other funding, was our funding to support their fundraising efforts, or did we give them funding on the understanding that other money was coming in?
We just gave them the money and to get them a start, and I don't think we were ever let down. I can't think of specific projects. I have to go back through books and books and books of stuff.
Okay.
But we called it seed money just to get people going, to give them a start. And yes, it was speculative, you're absolutely right. But I don't think we were ever let down.
Okay. Just checking, Jason, that you weren't waving at me wanting to speak. No. Martin?
I'm just looking at it again, and really what they're saying, I think, is that they're asking for this as match funding, but the match funding they are offering is volunteer time. The like as you sort of said, Rebecca, this is sort of speculative, but at the same time, it's not. That's not what they're offering as match funding. The match funding is in kind, as it were, in as much as volunteer time. So it's a bit different again.
We've accepted volunteer work on other places. Where
Yeah.
Oh
we give them
yeah. You know,
yeah.
I got no problem with that
Yeah.
at all. Yeah, I got
with the
no
old
problem.
people's Christmas party and things.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
gave it volunteers.
Yeah, as I said, I got no problem with in-kind match funding. I was just pointing it out that that's what they're saying in the application.
Thank you.
Okay. Will?
Yeah, I think, you know, one of the things we should recognise here is that, you know, Mumbles was the first ever passenger railway, wasn't it? And which is incredible part of history, which, you know, if you came to Mumbles, you know, would you know that?
Yeah, it's a good point.
You know, so, you know, I mean, maybe the community council should have done something about this a long time ago, but I think it's, you know, it's a really good part of our history. Seems like a good initiative. So, you know,
It's not a massive amount of money either.
No, it's not.
No.
It's not.
I suppose, yeah, so I completely agree. The project itself sounds amazing. When Steve first said this application had come in, I thought, yeah, about time that we've got something to mark the Mumbles Railway. I'm just wondering how we can best ensure that the project actually goes ahead. Because I think if you read the application at the moment, what they're looking for is money to then get a project plan together to apply for more money so that the project then goes ahead, if that makes sense. What I was just going to suggest is that we make the recommendation to full council that we do approve the grant application, but we maybe also try and link in. Is anybody on this committee also on culture and tourism?
Yeah.
I was just about to, I did have a little bit more to say. What I was going to mention this is the digital archive is probably more appropriate, I think. I just think if the digital archive committee is called the digital archive committee, but it should really be the, you know, history and archive committee, or culture and archive, or something like that. So one of the recommendations that is going to the next digital archive, which will then go to culture, is that we have someone for member of staff for 2 days a week for 6 months to drive that project forward. And this could be, you know, they could liaise with these people, this group, as part of that role as well. So maybe it ties in there, but, you know, happy for either there or culture.
I think the point I was going to make is just is for us to try and kind of stay as a partner in the project, I suppose, and offer us a sort of longer term support perhaps than just this money. Sarah?
Yeah, I agree. I think we should. It's something we'd want done. So let's help them get it done properly and be more of a partner within it, rather than just give them 1,000 and tell them to skip off and do what they can. Yeah, well, in the politest sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so the recommendation to full council then is that we agree the grant application, and is everyone happy to link it in with the digital archive?
I think that's an excellent idea.
Yeah.
I think that works.
Yeah, it's a good way of making connections, you know.
Okay.
Well, Michael's suggestion was about the MDT as well, Mumbles Development Trust. Involve them, we'll do partnership with them.
So the application is
Mumbles
from
Development
MDT.
Trust.
Oh, I'm from Andy.
Yeah.
We'll do a
Yeah.
partnership. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's that's what we're basically recommending, is that we approve the grant application on the basis that we would like to work in partnership with Mumbles Development Trust rather than just give them the money and skip away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is everyone okay with that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've
Yeah.
got quite a good relationship with them now, and I think it would be an easy relationship.
Famous last words, Sarah. But I'm sure
Yeah,
you're right.
I wish I hadn't said that now. I wish I hadn't.
Okay. Is that clear enough, Steve? Have we been clear?
You have, yes. I was going to suggest we could use the same partnership agreement we've got with MCA, but I won't.
Not funny, not funny.
Perhaps not. Okay. So point 11 is the grant request from Newton Athletic that we considered last month, and we went back to them to ask for a bit more information. I don't know whether they've come back to you, Steve, have they?
I gave them a call today because we hadn't had you. When we spoke last week, we agreed I'd chase them again, and I did, and they hadn't responded. But he's come back now. So do you want me to share? I put that in.
Letter.
But in case people haven't, shall I put his?
Yeah.
It's on the screen.
Please. We're going to use the funding on developing coaching staff. £500 per coach. £665 for development of the website and 2 years of hosting. Okay, so the sorry, 1 second. So the grant application was for 2,500. £500 per coach times by 3 coaches is 1,500 plus 665. So there's a little bit of the request missing, £335. But other than that, that seems to be helpful information. Any thoughts on what we should do with this, Sarah? And then
Yeah, I know in the past. I know in the past we've actually asked for the Mumbles Community Council logo to be on their rugby shirts or their football shirts or whatever sport we were giving it to, because that's a good advertisement for us. Is that a possibility? Perhaps that's the 330 odd pound they haven't put in because of that. Who knows?
So I think there's now a standard letter that goes to our grant recipients that asks for appropriate recognition of our contribution. Is that right, Steve?
That's correct, yeah.
So I think certainly if they're going to use it for website development, for example, I would expect that our logo is on their website. And I'm sure we could ask, if it can be made visible at matches or on kit. That's an option. Will?
Yeah, I just wanted to declare a personal interest here. My son plays for Newton Athletic, and well, I'm not an official coach, but I seem to have a Newton Athletic jacket with my initials on it. So I help out with the training and stuff like that. So I just wanted to declare a personal interest on that. But yes, very well run club, and there's a hell of a lot of youngsters locally that join the club, and it was very much needed because Mumbles Rangers was absolutely full. So there was a lot of kids getting turned away before Newton Athletic was set up from football. So it's a really good club, very well run, very friendly. So great.
Good.
I'm happy.
Okay. Right, I'll put it to the vote then. Are we going to recommend to full council that we accept this grant application?
Yeah.
All those in favour? I'm seeing
Chair,
nods.
Chair,
Yeah. Yes.
sorry, I'm challenging you, I guess. We've asked for them to say how they want to spend the money, and they've come up, as you've calculated, asking for things which don't come to the sum of the amount they're asking for. Wouldn't it be more prudent just to cover the cost of what they're asking for?
Good challenge, Steve. And for consistency, I ought to agree with you, because I have in the past suggested that we reduce amounts to whatever it is that they've actually asked for. So that would bring it to £2,165. Can I get some credit for my mental maths, please?
Well done.
So that, yeah, okay, fine. Chair, I'll suggest that, £2,165 to cover what it is that they've asked for. Is that you agreeing, Will, or asking to speak?
No, that
With
was
your
me
clapping.
clapping. That's clapping your mental math.
Oh,
I was speaking.
are we happy with that as the recommendation to council?
Yeah.
Excellent.
I'm just going to abstain on that, just in case I'm pretty sure it's just a personal interest that I am allowed to vote, but I'm going to abstain to be safe, okay?
Yep, excellent. Thank you. It was passed anyway, so I think we're all happy with that. Great stuff. Right. Are there any items for social media or website? I know I've got some draft text now to ask about the naming of the Langland courts that I'm just going to respond to Claire on today. So that will be in social media next week. Is there anything else? No? Okay, excellent. I think this is the first time we have completed one of these meetings in under an hour. Everybody go and enjoy your evening.
Bye.
Okay.
See you
Thank you.
soon.
Bye.
Thanks all. Bye-bye.